My ex showed up after 7 years with a kid, claiming he was mine, and told me, "You owe us a life." I calmly asked for a DNA test. She threw fits, harassed my wife, and made wild accusations online. And when the results finally came in, her reaction was even worse than I expected. Hey, Reddit. Life had finally become calm, stable, and drama-free, until my ex from 7 years ago showed up at my front door with a child and a handwritten bill like I owed her back pay. Before everything exploded into lawsuits, stalking, and police warnings, let me start from the beginning. Named Jordan Hale, 31 years old, IT support lead for a midsized manufacturing company. I'm married now. I have a stable life, a quiet house, actual peace. It took me a long time to appreciate how valuable that is, especially after what I dealt with in my early 20s. If you'd met me back then, you wouldn't even recognize me. My spine was basically cooked spaghetti, and I thought love meant tolerating behavior that should have sent me sprinting into traffic. Anyway, let's start where this whole mess began. Sophomore year of college. I remember the first time I saw Belle Morgan. She was a confident senior, the kind of woman who made half the guys on campus forget how to function. She didn't wait for me to make a move. She walked straight up, asked my name, then asked for my number like she was picking something off a shelf. At the time, I thought, wow, she really likes me. Now, looking back, I think, no, she just wanted someone easy to latch onto. The first few weeks were the sweet phase. She brought me coffee, sat next to me in classes she didn't even belong in, laughed at everything I said like I was secretly doing stand-up. For a guy who'd barely dated, it was flattering as hell. Then the red flag started, but I didn't have the experience to recognize them yet. It started small, questions that didn't seem like a big deal. Who were you talking to before I walked up? Why did she smile at you like that? Why is your lab partner a girl? Aren't there any guys in your class? Then it escalated. She wanted to know where I was between every class. Send me a quick text so I know you got there. Why didn't you answer for 15 minutes? I'm not accusing you. I just want to feel secure. If I talked to a female cashier for longer than a polite second, Belle would stare like she was solving a murder. After her graduation in 2017, she started talking about us moving in together. Well, talking is generous. She basically said, "We're getting an apartment, right? I don't want a long-distance thing." I had a job lined up in the same city, so I said yes. I wasn't thrilled, but I didn't want to seem afraid of commitment. Another stupid move. The moment we got the keys, it was like she leveled up in controlling behavior. First week in the apartment, "Let me see your phone. I just want to make sure everything's open between us." I handed it over like an idiot, thinking it proved I had nothing to hide. Huge mistake. She took that as permission to check it whenever she wanted. Then came the friend cleanse. Why do you have all these girls in your contacts? That's disrespectful to me. Soon, my phone was basically a tracking device for her convenience. Share your location. It just makes me feel secure. If I didn't respond fast enough, she'd blow up my phone. 10 messages, then a call, then another call. She wasn't worried. I learned that later. She just didn't like not being in control. I kept telling myself, she's just insecure. She'll get better. She didn't. She got worse. If I went to the gym without her, she'd sulk. If I played video games, she'd accuse me of caring more about screens than her. If I wanted a night to myself, she'd act like it was a personal insult. Everything revolved around her insecurity and her need for control. But I didn't see it clearly then, not the way I do now. Back then, I made excuses for her because I thought clinginess meant love. Now, I call it what it was, delusion mixed with entitlement. By June 2018, about 8 months into living with Belle, things were already tight. Still, there were rare moments when she wasn't home, either at some group project or out with friends. One afternoon, I finally got one of those rare breaks. I had come home early from work because a system update finished ahead of schedule. The house was quiet. I was actually enjoying the silence when I heard a knock. I opened the door and saw my sister, Jenna, standing there holding a container of homemade food. She smiled and said, "You never answer your phone. I figured you were either passed out or hiding from your own house." I let her in, and we sat on the couch catching up. Jenna already knew something was off with Belle. She'd hinted at it before, but she respected that I didn't really want to get into the details. She stayed for maybe an hour and a half, talking about work, her coworkers, and joking about how I lived like a hostage. Then her phone rang, something urgent from the office, so she hugged me goodbye and rushed out. What I didn't notice was a small tube of lipstick she left behind in the couch cushions. About 30 minutes later, Belle came home. I heard the keys, then the door slamming open harder than necessary, her usual entrance whenever she thought I wasn't giving her enough attention. She walked in, tossed a bag on the counter, and immediately scanned the room like she was expecting to find a body. "Why does it smell like someone was just here?" she asked. "It's just Jenna," I said. "She stopped by." Belle narrowed her eyes. She usually texts first. "She didn't this time," I replied. "She had a work emergency." Belle didn't respond. She just walked into the living room, dropped onto the couch, and shot back up like she sat on a knife. She reached into the cushions and pulled out the lipstick. Tiny, pink, nothing dramatic, but the look on her face turned the entire room into a live wire. "What is this?" Not a question, an accusation with punctuation. "Jenna must have left it behind," I said plainly. "Don't lie to me," Belle snapped, her voice shaking. "Your sister doesn't wear the shade." She literally had it earlier. "So you're saying she came here, put it on, and forgot it?" Belle's eyebrows pulled together like she was constructing conspiracy in real time. "You expect me to believe that?" "Because that's what happened," I said. "There's no mystery," Belle snapped. Then she screamed, a sound like something inside her throat cracked. She threw the lipstick at me, grabbed the couch cushions, and hurled them onto the floor. Then she stormed to the bookshelf and swept everything off with one arm. Books, frames, everything crashing to the ground. "You think I'm stupid?" she shouted. "You think you can bring some girl in here while I'm gone?" I didn't raise my voice. No one was here except Jenna. She grabbed the TV remote and threw it across the room. It hit the wall, battery cover flying off. Then she grabbed a throw pillow and flung it at my head. That's when I stopped giving her the benefit of the doubt. "Don't throw anything else," I said. My voice stayed level, serious enough that she finally paused. For a second, she looked at me like she didn't recognize me. Then she went right back to screaming. "You betrayed me. You let another woman sit where I sit. You think I'm some idiot who won't figure it out?" I stood there with my arms crossed. I wasn't engaging in the chaos. I wasn't dodging anything else either. "I'm not doing this," I said. "Calm down or leave." She chose the second one. Belle grabbed her bag, stumped to the door, and threw it open so hard it bounced against the stopper. She yelled one last thing, something about me being a liar, and stormed out into the hallway. I didn't chase her. After a minute, I walked over and closed the door because she'd left it wide open like she was escaping a burning building. When she still hadn't come home by midnight, I tried calling, straight to voicemail. I tried texting, didn't send. I checked her social media. I wasn't on it anymore. She had blocked me on everything. She left because she wanted a fight she could win, and disappearing completely gave her exactly that. So I let her stay gone. I packed up the scattered books, put the room back together, and went on with my life. Even then, even before the years that followed, I knew one thing for sure. If a lipstick was all it took to make her vanish, she'd been halfway out the door long before that. When Belle disappeared, the apartment felt weirdly quiet. Not peaceful, just like someone finally turned off a fire alarm that had been blaring for months. Work became my routine anchor. I picked up every shift I could, took on projects no one wanted, buried myself in certifications, and got my sleep schedule back under control. Being productive kept me steady. The more time I spent focusing on myself, the less time I spent thinking about someone who chose to walk out the door. My social circle shrank on purpose. I cut out people who brought unnecessary drama and kept only the ones who were real with me. The fewer voices in my ear, the clearer everything became. I started noticing just how much nonsense I'd tolerated in the past. I'd mistaken control for care, accusation for passion, and stress for love. Clarity hits differently when you're not drowning in noise. A few months after Belle disappeared, my lease ended. I didn't renew it. That apartment felt like a storage unit full of old bad habits. I moved into a smaller place closer to Wake. Clean space, clean slate, no memories taped to walls, no arguments echoing in the corners. Just mine. Life became simple. Work, gym, sleep, repeat. Boring to some people. But to me, it was the first time in years I wasn't constantly tense. Then came Carowin. I met her at work. She'd just transferred from another branch. The first thing I noticed was how calm she was. Not quiet calm, steady calm. She didn't try too hard to impress anyone. She wasn't fake nice. She didn't jump into conversations to get attention. She carried herself like a person who didn't need validation every 5 minutes. We were assigned to fix a large client network that 3 people had already messed up. I expected her to be like Belle, talk over me, assume she was always right, turn simple questions into accusations. But she didn't. She listened. She asked real questions. She compromised like an actual adult. The first time I joked sarcastically about a software issue, she smirked and fired back without missing a beat. Not offended. Just normal. It surprised me. We didn't rush into anything. It was slow. We talked after meetings, had lunch in the break room, got coffee after work. Getting to know her didn't feel like work. There were no sudden interrogations, no emotional traps, no hidden rules. One night during a late shift, she casually asked, "What was your last relationship like?" I didn't sugarcoat anything. Controlling. A lot of walking on eggshells. Won't do anything like that again. Kara didn't pity me. She didn't dig for gossip. She just nodded and said, "Good. You shouldn't settle for disrespect." Simple. Direct. No theatrics. When we eventually decided to date, I made my boundaries clear from the start. Kara agreed. She genuinely lived by the same rules. And she even held me accountable if I slipped into old habits. She called it out without attacking me. Conversations with her were real conversations, not battles. Our relationship grew without force. No chaos, no yelling, no disappearing acts. We didn't spend every minute together. We didn't suffocate each other. She had her own hobbies, friends, routines, and she respected mine. After about a year of dating, we moved in together in 2020. The difference between that and moving in with Belle was unreal. Kara didn't push. She didn't test me. She didn't demand proof of commitment. We talked about logistics like 2 functioning adults, signed a lease, and built a home, not a battleground. Living with Kara showed me what a real partnership looks like. She didn't throw things when frustrated. She didn't snoop through my phone. She didn't demand my entire schedule or twist innocent things into cheating accusations. If I needed a quiet night, she respected it. If she needed something, she told me clearly. No attitude, no traps. Peace feels strange when you're not used to it. I kept waiting for some hidden side to appear, but it never did. Kara was just herself, consistent, kind, firm when needed, and she expected respect in return, which I gave willingly. 2 years later, I proposed. Not because I felt pressured or cornered, but because she showed me what a relationship should have been all along. We got married in a simple ceremony with close friends and family. Nothing extravagant, nothing chaotic. The house we bought afterward became the first real home I ever had. Not a place filled with tension. Not a place I dreaded returning to. The air felt different. The quiet wasn't threatening. The walls didn't hold echoes of old arguments. It was a home built by 2 people who respected each other. By our 2nd anniversary in 2025, Belle was barely a memory. I didn't think about her. I didn't wonder where she'd gone. I didn't care. I was finally living the life I should have had years earlier. And for a long time, I believed the Belle chapter of my life was burned, buried, and rotting somewhere far behind me. Then one Saturday morning, everything I thought I'd left behind showed up standing on my porch. It was a slow morning. I was fixing a cabinet hinge in the kitchen, and Kara was in the living room scrolling through ideas for the guest room. No TV, no noise, just quiet. The doorbell rang once. I wiped my hands and went to answer it, not expecting anyone. I opened the door. Belle Morgan was standing on my porch. She looked almost the same, just more worn around the eyes. Next to her stood a small boy holding a worn-out backpack. He looked about 6 or 7. Dark hair, thin frame, eyes glued to the porch floor. Jordan, She said like she'd seen me just yesterday. We need to talk. I didn't move. What do you want, Belle? She pulled the boy closer. This is Keegan, your son, the son you walked away from. No, I said. No yelling, no laugh, just flat. You walked away. Say it right. Her expression tightened. You abandoned us. You disappeared. I had to track you down through records and people we used to know. Do you know how humiliating that is? You blocked me on everything and vanished. I said, you made sure I couldn't reach you. Don't stand here and rewrite that. She ignored me and reached into her bag. I didn't come here to argue. I came to give you a chance to fix this. She pulled out a few folded, creased sheets of paper and shoved them against my chest. I took them without breaking eye contact. This, she said, is what you owe me. I unfolded the pages. At the top, written in thick marker, bill for Jordan Hale underneath. Backdated relationship compensation, $14,000 missed birthdays, $700 child expenses, $52,000 pain and suffering fee, $25,000. I scanned it quickly, then lowered the papers. You spent 7 years in silence, I said, and this is the first thing you hand me. It's the minimum, she snapped. You should be grateful I came in person instead of going straight to court. You owe me for all those years. You owe Keegan his father. Keegan stared at his shoes. I don't owe you anything, I said. You left. You cut contact. You never told me you were pregnant. You never gave me a chance to be involved in anything. She scoffed. You're really going to stand there and pretend you didn't know? You think you can just play dumb? I'm not pretending anything, I said. I'm stating facts. You ended the relationship by blowing up and disappearing. You blocked my number. You blocked me on everything. You moved without a word. That was your choice. I heard Kara's footsteps behind me. She came to stand beside me, calm, quiet, steady. Belle's eyes flicked to her and froze for a second. So, this is her? Belle said. The wife? Yes, I said. This is Kara. Belle straightened up. You moved on and played happy husband while I struggled alone with your child. You don't get to ignore that. I looked at Keegan for a moment, then back at her. If it's my child, we'll handle that properly. But you don't get to show up 7 years later with a handwritten bill and a story that doesn't match reality. So you're calling me a liar, she snapped. I'm saying we're doing this the right way. I replied, not on your terms. Not with marker math on my porch. Her jaw clenched. Typical. You always tried to act above me. You think if you talk calmly, you're right. No, I said. I think facts matter. So let's go over them. I held her eyes. You left 7 years ago after a fight over my sister's lipstick, I said. After that, you cut me off completely. You never called. You never texted. You never emailed. You never asked for help. You never mentioned a pregnancy. She opened her mouth to speak, but I kept going. Now you show up with a child and a bill like I've been hiding from you. I haven't moved cities. I didn't change my name. I didn't go into witness protection. You didn't want to be found until it suited you. Belle shifted, tightening her grip on Keegan's shoulder. I didn't know where you were. I had to dig through records and talk to old people just to get here. Public records are one thing, I said. You also talked to people who told you I was married now. That's why you're here. Her face flickered. You disappeared because you wanted control, I said. You came back because you want money. Those are your patterns. They're the same as before. I see them clearly now. Her lips curved into a bitter smile. You think you're clever, don't you? I think I'm done being manipulated, I said. If you believe I'm the father, we do a DNA test through the court, through lawyers. Not like this. Oh, so now you're going to drag me to court, she snapped. You're really going to put us through that instead of owning up. You chose this route when you vanished, I said. You're the one who made everything complicated. I'm not paying you a cent without proof, and I'm not accepting your version of history just because you're louder. Kara finally spoke, steady and unbothered. You had 7 years to contact him, she said. You chose to wait until now. That's not on him. Belle glared at her. You don't know anything about what I've been through. You're right, Kara replied. What I do know is he's been here working, living in the same city, not hiding. If he was such a monster, you wouldn't need to show up with a homemade invoice. You'd have a court order. Belle's cheeks reddened. She turned back to me. Fine, if that's how you want to play it. We'll do it your way. You'll regret dragging this out. The court will see what you did. They'll see what you did, I said. I'm not afraid of that for a second. The porch went quiet. She yanked on Keegan's hand. Come on, she said. We're leaving. Keegan glanced at me once, confused, unsure, then let himself be pulled along. They walked down the path, got into a beat-up sedan, and drove off. I watched them go, then folded the bill and walked back inside. Kara looked at me. You okay? I'm fine, I said, and I meant it. She wants a fight. She'll get one, just not the kind she thinks. Belle didn't wait long to escalate. 2 weeks after she showed up at my door, I got a packet in the mail, thick, stamped, and way too dramatic for anything reasonable. Inside were 3 separate filings from her, a child support and abandonment claim, a petition claiming I promised marriage and had a moral obligation to her, a relic claim our state doesn't even recognize, a harassment complaint, as if I'd been chasing her. It was a full attack from every angle, all filed the same day, all meant to make her look like the victim who'd spent years struggling while I lived an easy life. I called Calvin Rhodes, a lawyer I'd worked with during a contract negotiation at my company. Professional, sharp, and not easily impressed by theatrics. He read through the stack with a straight face. She's throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks, he said. The promised marriage thing is dead here, abolished years ago. It won't survive emotion. He looked up. Don't talk to her. Don't message her. Let me handle everything. Calvin asked for everything I had, screenshots, dates, old messages, social media, anything proving Belle had blocked me and disappeared. I sent him everything within an hour. The evidence painted a clear picture. Belle blocked me the night she stormed out. Her number rejected all calls for years. Her pages showed she moved twice after leaving. Jenica confirmed the lipstick incident and that Belle never reached out. The timeline didn't match her accusations at all. Calvin organized everything into a clean chronological file. Abandonment is dead, he said. Her claims don't hold up. A week later, I got a message request from a username I didn't recognize, T. Bennett, 1993. It started with, Jordan, it's Tori. We used to know each other through Belle. Please don't block me. I'm not here to start anything. I accepted the request, but kept it short. What do you want? Tori responded almost instantly. I'm sorry. I didn't know she was blaming you for Keegan. I didn't even know she tracked you down until she bragged about it. Then she wrote the line that mattered. You need to know the truth. Keegan might not be yours. She suspected that even before he was born. She sent screenshots, dozens, messages between her and Belle from years ago. Some casual, some heated, some clearly from the time around the breakup. In one, Belle wrote, Logan's been coming over a lot. I think I messed up, but Jordan will be a better father. Another, if it's Logan's, he won't step up. Jordan always fixes things. He'll just have to deal with it. Another, I'm not telling Jordan until I'm ready. He doesn't need the details. I'll just say it happened before I left. Tori sent voice notes. 2, short ones where Belle admitted she didn't know who the father was, but planned to sort it out later. Calvin called me after I forwarded everything. This is huge, he said. She's clearly lying about the timeline, and this proves she believed another man might be the father. Logan Price. Do you know him? No, I said. Never heard the name. Doesn't matter. We will. With that evidence, Calvin filed a response to Belle's claims. He included proof she disappeared, proof she blocked me, proof she never contacted me about a pregnancy, evidence from Tori showing she suspected another father, dates that didn't match Belle's narrative, Jenna's testimony, a request for an immediate DNA test. Belle's side responded with more emotional paragraphs than actual facts. She tried framing everything as trauma, abandonment, betrayal, and broken promises. She attached old texts from our relationship, Sweet messages I'd sent back when we were dating, but cropped them to look like I'd been proposing marriage or making commitments I never made. Calvin sent the originals to the court along with timestamps. "She's sloppy," he said. "This isn't a real case. She's just gambling that you'll fold." I wasn't folding. 2 weeks later, we had our first court date. Judge Arlen Shaw presided. Older, sharp eyes, no patience for nonsense. Belle stood across from me in a dramatic black blazer, arms crossed like she was preparing to deliver a closing argument in a crime show. Keegan wasn't with her. Thankfully, Judge Shaw read through the filings, flipping pages faster than I expected. Then he looked at her. "Ms. Morgan," he said calmly, "the timeline in your statement doesn't align with the evidence provided." Belle opened her mouth, but he continued before she got a word out. "It is also documented that you blocked Mr. Hale on all communication platforms at the time you allege abandonment occurred. We have proof of that." She shifted on her feet. "Furthermore," the judge said, "the messages provided by the defense show you express uncertainty regarding the biological father of the child." Her face went pale. Judge Shaw set the papers down. "This court is ordering a DNA test to determine paternity. Until then, no further claims will be considered." Belle finally snapped. "Your Honor, he's lying." "No," Judge Shaw said, raising a hand. "What I see is a lack of consistent evidence from you. We will proceed with the test." He dismissed us shortly after. Calvin looked at me and nodded. "We're in control now." And for the first time since Belle had shown up at my door, it felt like the truth wasn't just on my side. It was finally being recognized. Next stop, the DNA test and the truth Belle had been running from for 7 years. Once Judge Shaw ordered the DNA test, Belle immediately switched tactics. Instead of confidence, she slipped into avoidance. Calvin warned me to expect delays, but even he underestimated her creativity. 2 days after the court order, Belle emailed Calvin saying Keegan had a fever. The next week, she claimed her work schedule was unmanageable. Then it was transportation issues. Then Keegan is stressed and can't handle medical environments. Every excuse was designed to buy time. Calvin sent the same reply each time. No test, no discussion. Court order stands. I didn't budge either. I didn't respond to her directly. I didn't explain myself. I didn't negotiate. She got the version of me she never expected. Calm, firm, unmoved. After 3 weeks of dodging the appointment, Judge Shaw stepped in again and mandated a testing date with a court-appointed officer. Finally, Belle had no way out. She showed up looking irritated, arms crossed, Keegan holding her hand. He avoided eye contact with everyone. I didn't blame him. He was stuck in the middle of a story he didn't write. When the technician called my name, Belle muttered loudly, "This is pointless. Everyone knows as a father." I ignored her. Keegan looked up at me briefly, confused, scared, unsure. I nodded to him, calm and steady, and that seemed to help. The test took minutes. A simple swab. No emotion needed. No drama on my end. Belle, on the other hand, acted like the room owed her sympathy. 2 weeks later, the results came back. 0% probability. I was not the father. Straightforward. Final. Not open to interpretation. Calvin read it, nodded once, and said, "This is done." The next court date was set to finalize everything. Belle arrived first, pacing, hair messy, eyes darting around like she wanted to build another argument from thin air. Keegan wasn't with her, probably for the best. When the judge entered, Calvin handed him the results. Judge Shaw skimmed them, set them down, and said plainly, "Mr. Hale is excluded as a biological father." The room went quiet for a beat. Then Belle exploded. No, that test is wrong. Run it again." She pointed at the report like it had insulted her. "They mixed up the samples. He looks like Jordan. He has to be." "He doesn't," the judge said calmly. "And the test is conclusive. There is no biological link." "You don't understand," Belle shouted. Jordan walked out. He ruined everything. He should take responsibility." "I didn't walk out on anyone," I said. "You did." She swung her glare at me. "You're such a liar. You think you can just pretend none of this happened? You think you can act better than me?" "No," I said. I'm not pretending anything. I'm accepting facts. That sent her spiraling harder. The bailiff opened the side door. Witness Logan Price. Logan stepped in, dark hair, long stride, expression tight, like he'd been dragged into something he didn't want. He'd been served after Tory's screenshot surfaced and was appearing on a short notice subpoena. Logan raised a hand slightly. Judge Shaw. Yes, the judge said. State your business. I'm here on subpoena, Logan said, glancing at Bell. After I was contacted with screenshots, I confirmed I dated Ms. Morgan around that time and provided an affidavit. I'm available to answer the court. Bell snapped back to life. Logan, don't do this. You don't know what you're saying. Logan looked at her with zero patience. I know exactly what I'm saying. If Keegan's mine, I'll deal with that. But you don't get to drag Jordan into this because he has his life together. She pointed wildly between us. You're both against me. You always were. You. She turned to Kara, who was seated behind me. And you? You stole him from me. Kara raised an eyebrow. I met him years after you vanished. Liar. Belle screamed. You manipulated him. You made him hate me. Judge Shaw lifted a hand. Ms. Morgan, that's enough. No, she shouted. You're biased. You're all biased. You don't know what he did to me. What he did, the judge said evenly, was provide proof you disappeared by choice, proof you blocked him, proof you misrepresented your relationship, and proof you lied about paternity. Belle shook her head violently. You can't take my child's father away from him. He was never the father, the judge said. The DNA test confirms that. She grabbed the edge of the desk like she needed it to stay upright. It's supposed to be. Jordan always fixes everything. Logan doesn't. Jordan is the good one. Exactly, Logan said. And that's why you tried to pin the kid on him. Belle covered her face, shaking, then pointed at me again. Jordan, please don't walk away. Don't do this to him. I didn't raise my voice. I just told the truth. I didn't walk away from him. I was never given the chance to walk toward him. Judge Shaw tapped his pen. The case is closed. Mr. Hale is dismissed permanently from all claims. Ms. Morgan, you will be contacted regarding next steps of determining proper paternal responsibility. Belle's scream echoed as the gavel came down. Calvin placed a hand on my shoulder. It's over. And for the first time since Belle reappeared on my porch, it actually was. But she wasn't done. People like Belle don't accept reality easily. The next chapter of her chaos was already waiting outside those courtroom doors. The moment the court cleared me, Belle didn't disappear. She switched tactics like someone flipping a switch. One day after the ruling, she sent Calvin a new email claiming I had emotionally destroyed Keegan with a DNA test and demanding I pay for ongoing trauma therapy. Calvin sent a single-sentence reply. Mr. Hale bears no responsibility for your client's emotional state. All claims denied. That should have ended it. Of course, it didn't. Next, she came after Kara. Kara showed me a long message she received on social media. 6 paragraphs of unhinged rambling. Belle accused her of stealing her man, brainwashing me, and ruining a family. She even claimed Kara pressured me into abandoning my responsibilities. Kara read it once, shrugged, and said, "She's reaching." I saved a screenshot for evidence and blocked Belle on every platform. A week later, things escalated. Kara went to the grocery store after work. I was home fixing dinner when she called me. "Jordan," she said calmly, "she's here." I didn't need to ask who. Kara kept her voice steady. She followed me down 2 aisles, calling me a home wrecker. She's yelling loud enough for people to stare. I grabbed my keys. "I'm coming." By the time I arrived, store security was already involved. Belle was in the cereal aisle, pointing at Kara and yelling, "You ruined everything. He was supposed to marry me. You don't deserve him." Kara stood still, arms crossed, letting Belle burn herself out. Security escorted Belle toward the exit while she kept shouting, "She's controlling him. She manipulated him." I didn't say a word to Belle. Not one. I met Kara, walked her to the car, and we went home. Calvin filed the incident immediately, but Belle didn't slow down. 2 days later, She showed up at my job. I was in a meeting when HR called, saying a woman was in the lobby demanding to speak with me. When they described her, I told them to keep her out. By the time I reached the front, security had already removed her from the building. HR banned her permanently and filed their own report. Next target, my parents. My mom called me and said, "A woman named Belle called here crying, saying you abandoned your child." I asked, "What did you tell her?" Mom replied that she needs help and that she should never contact this house again. Belle hung up on her mid-sentence. After that, she went online. She made 3 separate posts accusing me of abuse, neglect, and ditching my family. She tagged people we knew in college, spinning stories that didn't even line up with each other. One post claimed I cheated on her. Another claimed I left her pregnant. A third said, "I promised to take care of Keegan," then broke the promise. The contradiction would have been funny if it wasn't so messy. I didn't write paragraphs defending myself. I didn't argue. I didn't insult her. I didn't fire back with emotion. Calvin told me not to litigate on social media. We preserved screenshots, sent takedown notices where the posts violated policy, and let the filings speak for themselves. Her post disappeared within an hour. Then new ones appeared, shorter, more frantic. Then those disappeared, too. She was spiraling publicly, switching between rage and victimhood, deleting, reposting, reshaping the story every few minutes. Calvin called me after seeing the online mess. "It's time," he said. "We're filing a no-contact order." We submitted everything. Texts, videos, HR reports, the grocery store incident, the online lies, her messages to Kara. It wasn't even a close call. A judge issued a temporary order within 48 hours. Police delivered the warning to her directly. One more incident, and she'd be arrested. For a few days, things were quiet. I thought maybe she finally burned herself out. I was wrong. Her final stunt came on a Thursday night. Kara and I were watching a show when a loud banging hit our front door. 3 hard hits, not a knock, not a visitor. Full force. I checked the camera. Belle stood there, mascara streaked, hair messy, shouting my name. She kept yelling that she was hurt and needed help. She even threw herself halfway down the porch steps, screaming like she'd been pushed. I didn't open the door. I didn't talk to her. I called the police. When the patrol car arrived, Belle tried telling them I attacked her and locked her out. The officer checked the camera footage on my phone. Her yelling, me never going near the door. Caught instantly. She tried crying. She tried blaming Kara. She tried blaming Logan. She even tried claiming the DNA test was fake. None of it worked. The officers had to stand up and told her clearly, "You violated a no-contact order. We're documenting this. Further violations can lead to arrest." They issued a citation and filed an incident report. They didn't arrest her on the spot, kid in the car, but they made it clear the report would go to the prosecutor and could factor into any future paternity or custody proceedings. When they escorted her away, she didn't look angry anymore. She looked defeated. For the first time since she reappeared at my door, Belle finally stopped. After the police left, Kara leaned against me and said, "You handled all of that better than anyone could. I'm just glad it's over." I said, "Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come."